right, so hopefully you picked an answer for this last question over here. And we're gonna start graphing polynomials. You're gonna do the exact same thing. There is nothing different here, okay? We're gonna be using this, and we're gonna use what you learned in last class, finding zeros. And we're gonna combine the two to actually make the graphs. It's not that hard. Just breathe, I will walk you through it. It's super simple, okay? So the first thing we need to do is figure out the end behavior. This is what we use for the end behavior, that yellow cheat sheet, okay? Now when you look at this, right, compared to the other problems that we've done, like this, does this look anything like this? No, it doesn't, okay? When you look at them, right, you see this one, it doesn't have any parentheses. But this one, that's all it has. The reason why is because they didn't go through and multiply this yet. So you need to go through and multiply it. But you don't actually have to multiply the entire thing. You're only going to multiply the first parts of the outside, the first part of the inside of the parentheses, and the first part of the other parentheses. Okay, so I need you to do x times x times x. And what should that equal when you do x times x times x? You should get x cubed, right? Because you had 3 x's. Remember, they each have an exponent of 1. So it's the same as x of 1 plus 1 plus 1. Hopefully you know 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. Hopefully by now. Okay. All right, so we're going to use this to figure out our end behaviors, right? So look at your degree, right? Was it odd or even? It was odd. Right? Now look at the other part. Is this part in front, did we get a positive x cubed or a negative x cubed? You should be able to tell me it's positive. So if it's odd and positive, remember, right from here, again, this is a very popular one, at least for Algebra Nation for what they picked. It's going to fall left, rise right. Okay, so it's going to look like that. All right, now back to kind of like throwbacks from what we did on Tuesday, which was the last time that you saw me. Okay, we're going to find the zeros. So remember, for finding zeros, you're going to take this fabulous equation from up here. And remember, if you're finding zeros, your problem should equal 0. Because you can't find a 0 unless it's already equal to 0. So remember, this is the part where we take this and we separate it at the parentheses. So this first one, right? If I just covered up this part, it would say x equals 0. So that's what we're going to write. And that one's already done. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. If I cover up these two, it says x minus 2 equals 0. So what does x have to be for it to equal 0? Okay, you could also figure it out by doing the opposite, right? You could also add 2, add 2. Hopefully we all know that 0 plus 2 is 2. And yes, I'm going to act like y'all are still here, even though you're not, just because that's how I roll. So deal with it. Okay. All right, so in the last one, right, again, if you cover up the other parts, it says x plus 3 equals 0. So that's what you solve. X plus 3 equals 0. So again, figure out what number plus 3 equals 0. Or you could do the opposite of what it says. Subtract 3, subtract 3. So you get x equals negative 3. So those 3 things right there, that's what you're going to graph down here, okay? So put 3 dots. So when x equals 0, put a dot. When x equals 2, put a dot. And when x equals negative 3. Okay? So I'll give you a second to graph those. Okay, now, from this part, remember how we found the end behaviors up here? So remember how I said this is like the left side? So on the left side of your graph, you're going to draw it going down or falling, just like that. And on the right side, you're going to draw it rising, just like that. Now, there's nothing in between, so we need to connect them. So you're just going to kind of guess a little bit about which directions are going to go. So this one should go up, but then it has to fall to go back to rising, okay? So you should always connect them with some kind of like loop-de-loops like this, always, okay? That's what it should always look like. Don't ever draw like straight lines or connect them going across. That's not how it works. It always has to be loops like this, okay? And they shouldn't be like loops that go like this and then straight down. And they shouldn't come to a point or anything, or like go all the way over here and then come back. They should just be loops that go up to about halfway-ish, down halfway-ish, and back around, okay? So always something like that, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, don't worry. We're going to try it 6 more times. Okay? So the next one, right? So again, going from the last one, right? The first thing you need to know are the end behaviors. So again, this is where you take the first thing. So yes, you still include that negative sign. Try to zoom in. There you go. So you still include that negative, this x, and this x. And you're going to multiply all of those. So when you get all of that together, right? What's x times x times x? Or how many x's are there? Oh, 3. So that means you should have x cubed. And then wait a minute, we had a negative, so it's a negative x cubed. So again, from your cheat sheet, we have an odd degree that's negative. Okay, so again, we had odd and negative. So that means it's gonna rise left, fall right. Okay, so that's the first thing we have to do. So remember, the next part that you have to find are the zeros. So if you can do the zeros in your head, that is perfectly fine. If you can't and you have to write them out, like we did right here on the last problem, that's totally fine, okay? You can do it either way. So like the first one is x minus 4 equals 0. So for this one, you should get that x equals 4. So that's your first one. So the next set of parentheses says x minus 1, right? So you're going to take x minus 1, make it equal 0. And again, if you solved it, you should get that x equals positive 1. And then again, the last set of parentheses, you have x plus 5 equals 0. So again, if you solve it, which you should be, because you should hopefully be able to do this part in your head, you should get negative 5 for this one. So again, graph your zeros. That's going to be like your starting point on your graphs. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those are your points, okay? So from here, right, now you use your end behaviors. So on the left side, we said that it was rising, okay? So you're going to draw it going up. And on the right side, the far right, so go to the far right dot, not the one in the middle, the far right one.